Captain Eric Mason stood at the viewport of the United Earth Alliance Command Center, his face illuminated by the glow of distant stars. His eyes narrowed as he watched the massive shapes emerge from the darkness of space. The alien ships were enormous, each one nearly the size of Earth's moon. Their dark metal hulls absorbed rather than reflected light, making them look like moving shadows against the starfield. "They're here," he said quietly. Lieutenant Olivia Wright adjusted the sensors at her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel. "I'm detecting 27 vessels, sir. The largest is approximately 300 kilometers in length." Eric took a deep breath. Humanity had known about other intelligent life in the galaxy for only 3 years. Contact had been limited to radio transmissions and a few brief meetings with trade representatives. This was the first time. The Krassi had sent their military fleet to Earth. "Any weapon signatures?" Eric asked. Olivia studied her readings. "Their energy outputs are massive, sir, but there's something unusual about their power distribution." She frowned. "I can't quite figure it out yet." The room fell silent as more officers gathered around the main display. The alien ships continued their slow, deliberate approach toward Earth. Their formation was perfect, a clear display of military precision designed to impress or intimidate. Admiral Patricia Taylor entered the command center. Her uniform was crisp, and her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun. Despite the tension in the room, her voice was calm. "Status report, Captain. The Krassi fleet has entered our solar system, Admiral. They're moving at half-light speed, on course for Earth. Their size is substantial." Patricia nodded. "As we expected. The Galactic Council warned us that the Krassi like to make an entrance." She turned to the communications officer. "Any transmissions?" "Not yet, Admiral." Just then, the main screen flickered. A face appeared, at least what passed for a face among the Krassi. Their skin was pale blue with ridges where a human would have eyebrows. Black eyes with no visible pupils stared out from the screen. "People of Earth," the alien said in slightly accented English. "I am High Commander Zixter of the Krassi Imperium. We come to formally welcome your world to the galactic community." Eric and Patricia exchanged glances. The massive warships didn't exactly suggest a friendly welcome. "High Commander," Patricia replied, stepping forward. "This is Admiral Patricia Taylor of the United Earth Alliance. We appreciate your attention to our world." Zixter's mouth formed what might have been a smile. "We request an immediate meeting with your leadership. There are important matters to discuss regarding Earth's future place in our sector." "Of course," Patricia said. "We would be pleased to host a delegation." After the transmission ended, Eric turned to Patricia. "Their future place in our sector? That doesn't sound promising." "Get me Ambassador John Carter," Patricia ordered, "and alert the UEA Security Council. I want everyone in the war room in 30 minutes." The emergency meeting began with tense faces around a large oval table. Screens on the walls showed the Krassi ships now in orbit around Earth. Ambassador John Carter, a tall man with kind eyes that belied his sharp mind, addressed the group. "The Krassi Imperium controls 12 solar systems. They're not the largest power in the galaxy, but they're significant. They've been expanding their influence for the past century. Are they hostile?" Someone asked. John chose his words carefully. "They prefer to avoid direct conflict when possible. Their usual approach is to offer protection in exchange for resources and partial control." "Sounds like a protection racket," Eric muttered. "An apt comparison, Captain," John agreed. "They present themselves as benevolent, but the terms are always in their favor." Patricia stood up. "We've prepared for this possibility. Our visible defense fleet is in position, but I remind everyone that Operation Thunderclap remains our ace. The Krassi must not learn of it. A Croxy delegation arrived 3 hours later. Their shuttle was smaller than their warships, but still impressive, sleek, and silent. As it landed at the UEA headquarters in Geneva. High Commander Zixter was taller than he had appeared on screen. He stood at least 7 feet high, his blue skin shimmering slightly under Earth's lighting. 4 other Croxy officials accompanied him, each wearing ornate armor that seemed more ceremonial than practical. In the large conference room, Earth's representatives sat on one side of the table, the Croxy on the other. Eric and Olivia stood against the wall, observing. "We are pleased to formally welcome Earth to the galactic community," Zixter began. "Your species has shown remarkable progress in a short time." John Carter nodded. "We appreciate your recognition. However," Zixter continued, "this sector of space has many dangers unknown to your people. The Croxy Imperium offers its protection." "And what would this protection entail?" Patricia asked. "A simple arrangement. We would establish 3 bases on your planet and require access to 20% of your world's mineral resources. In exchange, our fleet would ensure your safety from any external threats." Eric noticed John Carter's hand tighten around his pen, though the ambassador's face remained neutral. "That's a significant request," John said carefully. "What threats specifically concern you?" Zixter waved a hand dismissively. "There are many dangers in space. Surely you've noticed our impressive fleet. Such power is necessary in these uncertain times." As the discussion continued, Olivia quietly approached Eric. "Sir, I've completed my analysis of their ships," she whispered. "Their weapon systems are surprisingly conventional. They rely on size and numbers rather than advanced technology." Eric raised an eyebrow. "Interesting. Keep that to yourself for now, Lieutenant." After 2 hours, Zixter rose to his full height. "We will allow you time to consider our generous offer. You have 72 Earth hours to provide your answer." His black eyes swept across the human delegation. "I trust you will make the wise choice." After the Croxy left, the room erupted in discussion. "They're not offering protection. They're demanding submission," Patricia said angrily. John nodded. "Classic Croxy tactics. Their ships are meant to overwhelm us psychologically." Eric stepped forward. "Admiral, Lieutenant Wright has discovered something important about their fleet." Olivia explained her findings to the group. Despite their impressive size, the Croxy weapons were relatively standard powerful, but not innovative. Patricia listened carefully, then smiled for the first time that day. "Well done, Lieutenant." She turned to the others. "I believe it's time to show the Croxy that size isn't everything." As the meeting ended, Patricia handed Eric a sealed data chip. "Captain Mason, Operation Thunderclap is authorized." Eric nodded, a slight smile crossing his face. The Croxy had come to intimidate Earth with their massive ships. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Hidden deep within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Commander Sofia Rodriguez floated through the central command deck of the UEA vessel Defiance. Unlike the conventional military ships Earth had allowed the Croxy to observe, the Defiance was humanity's true achievement, a vessel built with technology that had been deliberately kept secret from the rest of the galaxy. Sophia pushed herself toward the main control station where Chief Scientist Dr. William Gray was making final adjustments to the ship's systems. The lack of gravity was normal for ships in the hidden fleet. Artificial gravity would create energy signatures too easy to detect. "How close are we, Doctor?" Sophia asked. William looked up from his work. His eyes were tired but excited. "The quantum drive is at full capacity. Weapons systems are at 98%. We'll be ready within 6 hours." Sophia nodded and looked around the command deck. Dozens of officers worked quietly at their stations. Everyone knew what was at stake. Project Nemesis Humanities. Hidden fleet of advanced warships had been developed in secret for 5 years. While Earth presented an image of conventional space technology to the galaxy, their best scientists had been making extraordinary breakthroughs. "Commander," a young officer called out, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth. It's Captain Nesson." Sophia pushed herself to the communication station. Eric's face appeared on the screen, his expression serious. "Operation Thunderclap is authorized," he said without preamble. "The Croxy have given us 72 hours to accept their terms. We'll need the fleet ready before then." "Understood," Sophia replied. "We're nearly combat ready. How are things on your end?" "Admiral, Taylor is implementing the deception strategy. We're making it look like we're preparing our conventional defenses. The Croxy are watching closely, but they have no idea about the Nemesis fleet." William floated over to join the conversation. "Captain, we've completed the final tests on the quantum phase weapons. They work exactly as designed." Eric nodded. "Good. I'll be joining you on the Defiance in 24 hours. Mason out." As the screen went dark, Sophia turned to the crew. "You heard the captain. We have less than 3 days to prepare for possible combat. Let's make every minute count." She pushed herself toward the rear of the command deck, where a large holographic display showed the positions of all 50 ships in the Nemesis fleet. The vessels were scattered throughout the asteroid belt, hidden from conventional sensors by a combination of specialized shielding and the natural cover provided by the asteroids. "Send the activation codes to all ships," Sophia ordered. "Tell them to maintain stealth protocols, but be ready to move on my command." Back on Earth, Eric Mason walked quickly through the underground levels of UEA headquarters. The facility buzzed with activity, a carefully choreographed show for any Croxy observers. Military personnel rushed back and forth carrying equipment. Weapons were being moved to defensive positions, and communication officers broadcast worried-sounding messages that were meant to be intercepted. Eric entered a secure room where Admiral Taylor was reviewing reports with her staff. "The deception is working," she said as Eric approached. "Our intelligence indicates the Croxy believe we're panicking." "Good," Eric replied. "Lieutenant Wright is continuing to analyze their fleet. Their weapons are powerful but predictable. No quantum technology, no advanced shielding. They rely on brute force." Patricia nodded. "Their strategy has always been intimidation. They conquer through fear rather than superior technology." She handed Eric a datapad. "These are your final orders. The shuttle to take you to the Defiance leaves in 6 hours." Eric scanned the information. "And Lieutenant Wright?" "She'll be going with you. Her analysis skills will be valuable on the Defiance." Aboard the massive Croxy command ship, High Commander Zixter watched the holographic display of Earth with satisfaction. The planet's defensive activities were exactly what he had expected: frantic, disorganized preparations of a civilization that knew it was outmatched. "The humans are behaving predictably," he said to his second-in-command. "Their sensors have been scanning our ships constantly, trying to find weaknesses." "Should we be concerned about their scans, High Commander?" the officer asked. Zixter made a dismissive gesture. "Let them look. They cannot hope to match our firepower. Our smallest vessel could destroy their largest with ease." "What if they refuse our terms?" "They won't," Zixter replied confidently. "But if they do, a demonstration will be necessary. Perhaps the destruction of one of their lunar bases would convince them of our seriousness." The officer nodded and left to relay orders to the fleet. Alone, Zixter studied the blue planet on his display. The Croxy Imperium had used the same strategy on a dozen worlds before, and it had always succeeded. Show overwhelming force, demand reasonable-sounding terms, and watch as the inferior civilization surrendered rather than face annihilation. He composed a message to the Croxy Imperium. Earth subjugation proceeding as planned. Expect full compliance within 3 days. Resources survey already underway. On the edge of the asteroid belt, Eric's shuttle approached the hidden location of the Defiance. The small craft maneuvered carefully between floating rocks, its stealth, systems making it invisible to standard sensors. Beside him, Olivia Wright looked out the viewport. "I can't see anything," she said. Eric smiled. "That's the point, Lieutenant." He sent a coded signal, and suddenly a section of space seemed to shimmer. The asteroids remained visible, but now they could see the sleek outline of the Defiance nestled among them. Unlike the bulky, practical designs of Earth's public fleet, the Nemesis ships were elegant and angular, their dark hulls absorbing light in a way that made them difficult to see even when not using active camouflage. The shuttle docked smoothly. In one of the Defiance's bays, Eric and Olivia pushed themselves through the zero-gravity environment until they reached the command deck. Sophia saluted as they arrived. "Captain on deck." "Status report," Eric said as he took position at the command station. "All 50 ships report ready, sir. Quantum drives functioning at optimal levels. Weapons primed. Crews at full combat readiness." Eric nodded. "And the Croxy?" "They've moved their fleet closer to Earth," William reported. "Standard intimidation tactic. They're showing off." "Let them," Eric said. "The closer they are to Earth, the less time they'll have to react when we make our move." He addressed the crew. "For years, we've hidden our true capabilities from the galaxy. We've let other species believe we're less advanced than we actually are. That ends now." He looked around at the determined faces watching him. "The Croxy came to our home thinking we would bow to intimidation. In 24 hours, they'll learn how wrong they were." Olivia took her position at the tactical station. "Sir, the Croxy have just activated their weapon systems. They appear to be preparing for a demonstration." Eric's expression hardened. "Then it's time for a demonstration of our own. Commander Rodriguez, transmit the activation code to the fleet. Let them see what humanity is truly capable of." The massive Croxy ships moved into position around Earth. Their dark shapes blocked sunlight in some areas, causing artificial eclipses over parts of North America and Asia. People on Earth looked up at the sky with worry as shadows fell across. Cities and countryside alike. High Commander Zixter stood on the command platform of his flagship. He gazed at the holographic display, showing Earth rotating slowly before him. The planet looked small and vulnerable, surrounded by his fleet. "The deadline expires in 1 hour," his second-in-command reported. "The humans continue their defensive preparations, but they have not responded to our terms." Zixter nodded. "They are hoping we will extend the deadline. A common tactic of weaker species." He touched a control panel. "Prepare a demonstration. Target their lunar research base. Low power, enough to destroy 1 dome only." "Yes, High Commander." Zixter activated the communication system. "People of Earth, your time to consider our generous offer is nearly complete. To help you understand the seriousness of your situation, we will now demonstrate a fraction of our capabilities." He turned to his weapons officer. "Project the targeting display. Let them see what we are about to do." Across Earth, enormous holographic images appeared in the skies. They showed the Croxy weapons locking onto the lunar base. The display was another intimidation tactic, designed to create fear. On the Defiance, hidden among the asteroids, Captain Eric Mason watched the Croxy broadcast on the main screen. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were hard. "There, targeting the Armstrong Research Base," Olivia reported from her tactical station. "Minimal staffing there. Most personnel were evacuated yesterday as part of our preparations." Eric nodded. "The Croxy are right on schedule." He turned to Commander Rodriguez. "Sophia, is the fleet ready?" "All ships report ready, sir. Awaiting your command." Eric took a deep breath. Humanity had hidden its true capabilities for years, developing advanced technology in secret while presenting a more primitive face to the galaxy. That strategy had served them well. But now it was time to reveal the truth. Send the order to all ships, Eric said. Disengage cloaking systems. All vessels to battle positions. Throughout the asteroid belt and beyond, 50 sleek human ships shimmered into visibility as their quantum camouflage systems deactivated. They were much smaller than the Croxy battleships. The largest human vessel was barely a tenth the size of Zixter's flagship, but their hulls pulsed with contained energy that suggested power far beyond their size. Aboard the Croxy Command ship, alarms suddenly blared. Officers rushed to their stations as sensors detected the appearing Earth vessels. "High Commander," a Croxy officer shouted. "Unknown ships have appeared throughout the system." Zixter spun toward the sensor display. "What? Where did they come from? Why didn't we detect them before?" "Unknown, sir. Our sensors registered nothing until moments ago. They appear to be using technology we are unfamiliar with." Zixter studied the display with growing concern. The human ships were small compared to his fleet, but something about their configuration troubled him. Their energy readings were unlike anything he had seen before. "Delay the demonstration," he ordered. "Focus sensors on these new vessels." On the Defiance, Eric received confirmation that all ships were visible and in position. "Open a channel to the Croxy flagship," he ordered. When the connection was established, Eric spoke clearly and calmly. "This is Captain Eric Mason of the United Earth Alliance vessel Defiance. You have entered Earth space uninvited. You have threatened our world. You have attempted to intimidate us into submission." He paused. "That was your mistake." On the main screen, Zixter's face showed a mixture of confusion and growing anger. "What is the meaning of this? Your hidden ships are impressive, but still no match for our fleet. Do not force us to destroy you." Admiral Patricia Taylor joined the transmission from Earth Command. "High Commander, perhaps you misunderstood our position. Earth does not accept your terms. We are not interested in your protection. We are fully capable of protecting ourselves." Zixter's confidence returned. "Your bravery is admirable but foolish. Even with these hidden ships, you are outnumbered and outgunned. Our smallest vessel could destroy your largest." Eric exchanged a glance with Olivia at the tactical station. She nodded slightly. "Perhaps a demonstration of our own is in order." Eric said, "Lieutenant Wright, target the uninhabited supply ship at the edge of their fleet. Minimal power." "Target locked, sir," Olivia replied. "Fire." The Defiance hummed as energy gathered at its forward section. A beam of blue-white light shot forth, thin and precise. It moved faster than the Croxy tracking systems could follow. The beam struck the target ship, slicing through its hull. Like it wasn't there. The Croxy vessel's shields had no effect against the quantum-phased weapon. The supply ship split cleanly in two, its sections drifting apart as internal systems failed. There was no explosion, no drama, just the clinical precision of advanced technology. Silence fell across all communication channels. On the Croxy flagship, Zixter stared at the display in shock. The human weapon had bypassed their shields completely. "What was that?" he demanded of his science officer. "How did they penetrate our shields?" "Unknown, High Commander." "The energy signature doesn't match any known weapon type. It appears to operate on quantum principles our scientists have only theorized about." Zixter's confidence wavered for the first time. The humans possessed technology more advanced than the Croxy had believed possible. He had based his strategy on the assumption of superior firepower, but that assumption now seemed dangerously wrong. "High Commander," his tactical officer reported urgently. "The human vessels are moving into attack formation." On the Defiance, Eric watched as the Nemesis fleet took positions according to their battle plan. The ships moved with incredible precision, their quantum drives allowing maneuvers that would be impossible with conventional technology. "The Croxy are powering up their weapons," Olivia reported. "Their fleet is moving to engage." Eric nodded. "They're still confident in their numbers and size. Let's show them why that confidence is misplaced." He opened a channel to all Earth ships. "All vessels, this is Captain Mason. Battle Plan Omega is now in effect. Remember your training. These ships are larger but slower. Use our maneuverability. Advantage." He turned to Sophia. "Commander Rodriguez, take your squadron and implement Phase 1. Sophia nodded. "Yes, sir." She left the command deck to board her own vessel. Eric sat in the captain's chair, his face resolute. "The Croxy came to intimidate us with the size of their battleships. Now they'll see ours in action." Across the solar system, the human fleet moved with purpose. The largest battle in Earth's history was about to begin. The vastness of space erupted in light as the Croxy fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams and projectiles filled the darkness between the planets. The human ships responded with incredible speed, their movements seeming to defy the normal. Rules of space travel. On the Defiance, Captain Eric Mason gripped his command chair as the ship executed a sharp evasive maneuver. Despite the extreme change in direction, he felt only a slight pressure. The advanced, inertial dampening systems negated forces that would have crushed a conventional vessel. 3 Croxy cruisers approaching from Vector 4, Olivia reported. From the tactical station, her voice was calm despite the chaos on the display screens. "They're trying to box us in." "Initiate pattern Delta," Eric ordered. "Engineer Powell, status on the drive system?" Alan Powell's voice came through the communication system. "Drive functioning at 95%, Captain. She can handle whatever you need." The Defiance spun on its axis and accelerated rapidly between 2 of the approaching Croxy ships. The enemy vessels fired, but their weapons were too slow to track the human ship's movements. "Return fire," Eric commanded. "Target their propulsion systems." The Defiance's weapons fired in precise bursts. Unlike the Croxy's massive energy weapons, designed to overwhelm through power, the human ships used focused quantum beams that could penetrate shields and target specific systems. 2 of the Croxy cruisers began to drift as their engines failed. Across the solar system, similar scenes played out as Earth's hidden fleet engaged the alien armada. Near Mars, Commander Sophia Rodriguez led a squadron of 5 smaller vessels against a massive Croxy battleship. "Formation Echo," Sophia ordered her pilots. "Prepare quantum fold on my mark." The human ships moved in perfect synchronization, drawing the Croxy vessel's fire. The alien captain focused all weapons on the human squadron, certain of victory. Through superior firepower. "Now!" Sophia commanded. In an instant, all 5 human ships seemed to vanish, leaving behind what looked like ripples in the fabric of space. The Croxy weapons hit nothing but empty space. Inside the Croxy battleship, alarms blared. "The human vessels have disappeared, Commander," an officer reported in panic. "Impossible." The Croxy commander shouted. "Find them!" "Sir, energy signatures detected behind us." The 5 human ships had reappeared behind the Croxy vessel, using their short-range quantum fold technology, a limited form of teleportation that allowed them to jump small distances instantly. Before the Croxy ship could turn its weapons, the human vessels fired in unison. Their coordinated attack disabled the battleship's main weapons and engines. Sophia opened a channel to the crippled Croxy vessel. "Your ship is disabled. Power down remaining systems and prepare to be boarded." On the Croxy flagship, High Commander Zixter watched in growing horror as his fleet's advantage crumbled. The tactical display showed multiple Croxy vessels disabled or destroyed, while the nimble human ships continued their assault with minimal losses. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Their technology, it should be decades behind ours." His science officers studied the sensor readings. The humans appear to have developed quantum technology far beyond what we believed. Their drives allow maneuverability that our ships cannot match. Their weapons phase through our shields as if they weren't there. Zixter slammed his fist against the command console. "Why did we not know of this? Our intelligence reported they were primitive. They hid their true capabilities," the science officer said simply. "They let us believe they were less advanced than they actually are." The realization struck Zixter like a physical blow. The humans had deliberately presented themselves as technologically inferior. They had anticipated that species like the Croxy would eventually come to conquer them, and they had prepared accordingly. "Order all ships to regroup," Zixter commanded. "Focus fire on their largest vessel, the one called Defiance." Near Jupiter, Chief Engineer Alan Powell monitored the Defiance's systems as the ship engaged 3 Croxy vessels simultaneously. The quantum drive hummed with power as Captain Mason pushed the ship through a series of maneuvers that would have been impossible with conventional technology. "Drive temperature rising," Alan reported. "Still within safe parameters, but we can't keep this pace forever." On the command deck, Eric acknowledged the warning. "Understood. Lieutenant Wright, status of enemy vessels?" "2 cruisers heavily damaged," Olivia replied. "The third is—" She paused, her eyes widening at the sensor readings. "Captain, multiple Crossy ships are changing course. They're all heading toward us. I count at least 12 vessels, including their flagship." Eric frowned. "They're concentrating their forces." Admiral Taylor's voice came through the communication system. "Captain Mason, our sensors confirm the Croxy are regrouping. They've identified the Defiance as the primary target. They think cutting off the head will win the battle," Eric said. "A reasonable strategy, but it won't work." "Nevertheless," Patricia replied, "this presents an opportunity. If they're focusing on the Defiance, our other ships can move into position." "For the final phase," Eric nodded. "Understood, Admiral." He turned to his crew. "All hands, prepare for heavy engagement. They're bringing the fight to us." The Defiance turned toward the approaching Croxy fleet. Despite being outnumbered and facing ships many times its size, the human vessel moved with confidence. Olivia looked up from her station. "Sir, the Crossy dreadnought is preparing its main weapon. Energy readings are off the charts." The main display showed the massive Croxy flagship. It was the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons. Its forward section was opening to reveal a massive energy cannon, a planet killer, capable of devastating an entire continent. "They're aiming for Earth," Olivia said quietly. "If that weapon fires at full power... Eric's expression hardened. "They're getting desperate." He opened a channel to engineering. "Mr. Powell, we need everything the drive can give us. We're going to engage the dreadnought directly." "Captain?" Alan sounded concerned. "That ship is 50 times our size." "Size isn't everything, Chief," Eric replied. "Prepare the Excalibur array. Full power." Across the command deck, the crew exchanged glances. The Excalibur array was the Defiance's primary weapon system, a technology so advanced and power-hungry that it could only be used in extreme circumstances. The Defiance accelerated toward the Croxy dreadnought, looking impossibly small against the planet-sized vessel. On screens across Earth and throughout both fleets, the sight of the tiny human ship charging toward the massive alien flagship seemed like a suicide mission. From the Croxy dreadnought, High Commander Zixter watched the approaching vessel with a mixture of confusion and triumph. "The humans are more foolish than I thought," he said. "One small ship against our flagship? Prepare to destroy them, then target Earth. They need to learn the price of defiance." On the Defiance, Eric gave the order they had all been waiting for. Activate the Excalibur array. Target their main reactor core. Olivia's fingers moved across her control panel. Array charging. Target locked. The Defiance began to glow with building energy. Light gathered at its forward section as power from the ship's quantum core channeled into the weapon system. Throughout the vessel, non-essential systems powered. Down to provide more energy. Array at full charge, Olivia reported, ready to fire. Eric took a deep breath. Fire. A beam of concentrated energy erupted from the Defiance, so bright that observation systems throughout the solar system had to adjust their filters. The quantum-phased beam struck the Croxy dreadnought with surgical precision, bypassing its shields completely. It pierced the massive ship's hull and continued straight through to its reactor core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Croxy vessel began to glow from within. Energy cascaded through its internal systems as the main reactor destabilized. The dreadnought didn't explode dramatically instead. It seemed to collapse inward as its power systems failed in sequence. On the Defiance, the command crew watched in silence as the enormous ship broke apart. Sections of hull drifted away from each other as internal explosions tore through the vessel. Direct hit, Olivia reported quietly. Their main reactor is critical. The ship is breaking up. Eric nodded. Scan for escape pods. I want to know if Zixter made it out. The sensors revealed dozens of small craft fleeing the doomed dreadnought. Among them was a larger vessel, the High Commander's personal shuttle. Zixter is evacuating to their secondary command ship, Olivia confirmed. Let him go, Eric ordered. Open a channel to all Croxy vessels. When the connection was established, Eric spoke clearly and firmly. This is Captain Mason of the U.E. Defiance. Your flagship has been neutralized. Multiple Croxy vessels are disabled or destroyed. Earth forces remain at combat readiness. He paused to let his words sink in. We have demonstrated that we can defeat your most powerful ships. We choose now to offer you a chance to end this conflict before more lives are lost. Power down your weapons and withdraw from Earth space immediately. For several long minutes, there was no response. The remaining Croxy ships held their positions, weapons still active. Then, slowly, one by one, the alien vessels began powering down their weapon systems. They're standing down, Olivia reported, surprise evident in her voice. All Croxy ships are powering down offensive systems. A new signal came through from the secondary Croxy command ship. High Commander Zixter appeared on the main screen. His normally confident expression was gone, replaced by a mixture of shock and grudging respect. Captain Mason, he said, his voice less commanding than before. The Croxy Imperium requests a ceasefire and new negotiations. Eric exchanged glances with his officers before responding. Ceasefire granted. Withdraw your fleet to the orbit of Mars. We will meet to discuss terms in 24 hours. After the communication ended, a cheer erupted across the command deck. The tension that had built during the battle released in a wave of relief and triumph. Well done, everyone, Eric said, allowing himself a small smile. Stand down from combat alert. Engineer Powell, begin damage assessment. Already on it, Captain, Alan replied over the comm. Minimal damage to outer hull. The drive needs time to cool down after the Excalibur firing, but otherwise we're in good shape. 2 days later, the UEA headquarters in Geneva was filled with government officials and military leaders. An emergency. Meeting room had been transformed into a victory planning session. Admiral Patricia Taylor stood at the head of the table while Captain Mason, Commander Rodriguez, and Lieutenant Wright joined via holographic projection from their ships. The Croxy fleet has withdrawn to Mars orbit as agreed, Patricia reported. Their ships remain on minimal power, and they've made no aggressive moves. Ambassador John Carter nodded. This presents us with an important diplomatic opportunity. The Krogzi have never been defeated before, at least not in recent memory. How we handle these negotiations will determine our standing in the galactic community for decades to come. We should press our advantage, one general suggested. Demand reparations, technology transfers, trade concessions. John shook his head. With respect, General, I disagree. Humiliating them further would only create a permanent enemy. They may be defeated now, but the Croxy Imperium is still powerful. Eric spoke up from his projection. Ambassador Carter is right. This isn't about revenge or exploitation. It's about establishing Earth as a sovereign power that must be respected, not feared. Patricia considered this. What terms do you suggest, Ambassador? Simple but firm, John replied. The Krosky must acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and our right to self-determination. Any future relations will be conducted as equals, not as conqueror and subject. No bases on our planet, no resource concessions. But we also offer normal diplomatic ties and fair trade agreements. After further discussion, the Council agreed on the terms. When the meeting concluded, Eric found himself alone in the Defiance's communication room with the holographic image of Admiral Taylor. You did well out there, Captain, she said. Project Nemesis exceeded even our highest expectations. The ships performed brilliantly, Eric agreed, but it was the strategy that won the day. Letting them underestimate us was the right call, even if it meant years of hiding our true capabilities. The next morning, a neutral station was established between the human and Croxy fleets. Captain Mason represented Earth, while High Commander Zixter came for the Croxy. The meeting room was simple, a table with chairs for both delegations. As they sat down, Zixter studied Eric with new eyes. There is one question that has troubled me since our battle, Captain. Why did you hide your true capabilities? You could have demonstrated your strength from the beginning. Eric considered his answer carefully. Throughout our history, humans have learned that those who display their power often become targets. We prefer to be underestimated rather than feared. He leaned forward slightly. But make no mistake, we will always defend our home. Zixter nodded slowly. A lesson the Crossy Imperium will not forget. I will carry this wisdom back to my people. The negotiations proceeded smoothly. By the end of the day, a new treaty was signed, one that recognized Earth as an equal power, not a subject world. 1 week later, the Croxy fleet departed Earth space. They carried with them not just a treaty, but a message for the galaxy. The seemingly primitive humans were far more dangerous than they appeared. On the observation deck of the Defiance, Eric stood with Olivia, watching the stars. The ship was on its way back to Earth after escorting the Croxy to the edge of the solar system. Do you think they'll come back? Olivia asked. Eventually, Eric replied. But next time, perhaps as friends rather than conquerors. He gestured. To the fleet of Earth vessels visible through the viewport, their advanced technology, now a known deterrent to any would-be invaders. And if not, we'll be ready. In the space once dominated by the massive Croxy battleships, Earth's sleek vessels moved with quiet confidence. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. True strength lay not in intimidation, but in innovation, courage, and the fierce determination to protect one's home. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, not through submission, but on its own terms.